Okay, hi guys. So this is your tutorial 11, sanitation and sewerage. So you have three questions here, which is the calculation part for your sanitation and sewerage. So this is for your topic topic 5, the only calculation part for your building science and services one lah. So here you'll be using the Chesney formula to calculate the discharging capacity of this sewerage pipe. So you're given information of the pipe being 200 diameter and half full. So it's a half bore lah. The pipe is only being discharged at a half bore capacity and it's being laid at a fall of 1 to 150. And you're also given the friction coefficient is 0.0063. So given your F, okay, so here this is all the formula you will need to solve this question lah. So given F and given all this information, you'll be able to find your C, which is the constant, using 2g divided by F and square root. So 2 multiplied by gravity, which is 9.81, and divided by the friction, and you will get the constant C, which is 55.81. So in this question, you're not given the C, so you have to find out using the friction coefficient, using the C equals to square root 2 multiply G divided by F. Okay, so next, you need to know your M. So you have a formula which is V equals to C square root M I. So I is your inclination and M is your cross section divided by length of wetted perimeter. So for this M is actually the same for a pipe whether or not it's full or half. So in this case, when the pipe is half, you have pi d square divided by 2 divided by the pi d over 2. So your length of wetted perimeter is pi d over 2 for half full, and cross-section area of flow is pi d square over 8. So you have to simplify it, you will get d over 4. So if you were to do that for a full bore, which means this pipe is full, you will still get the same d over 4. So I will leave it to you guys to do it lah, because it's to find out lah. But in this situation, for the case where the pipe is always for the situation where the pipe is round, you don't have to solve this part lah, because M will always be d over 4, even if for half full or for full. So this is just to show you how this M is obtained, where M is equals to d over 4, and with that you will be able to solve the velocity of this pipe. So given that V equals to C, which is a constant you obtained just now from here, which is 55.81, square root the M, which is d over 4, multiplied by 1 over L. So L is a 4, 1 divided by the inclination, equals, then you find out that your velocity is 1.019 meter per second. And you know that in water, Q is always equals to AV. So this is very important lah. When you're talking about flow of water, you know that Q is equals to AV, and A is the area of your pipe lah, which is half full, pi d squared over 8, and then you get your area. So you multiply by your velocity, and then with that you get your Q, which is your discharging capacity, equals to 16 liter per second. So this area is for your half full area of your diameter of your pipe lah, which is pi d squared over 8. Okay, for your second question, you'll still be using the same, all these formulas same, but you're given the water for your pipe to be at full bore. So notice that all your this is using circular pipe lah. So when you are using circular pipe, your M you don't have to find out. You can just assume that your M is D over 4. So in this question, you're given your Q, which is your discharge, is 25 liter per second, and your wastewater at full bore, and your inclination is 1 to 300, and your C is 55. So best practice when you're doing the question, you write down all the information available and all the formula available. Then this way you'll be able to solve the question easily lah. So it's asking you to find out the size of the underground circular pipe. So you're given 25 liter per second. Converting it to meter cube per second, you have to just divide it by 1000 lah. And then this will be equivalent. So 25 liter per second is equals to 0.025 meter cube per second. And you know that for full bore, which is a full discharge of the pipe, means all the water is in contact with the whole diameter of the pipe. You have your area equals to pi d square over 4. So this is a formula lah for full bore for your area of your pipe when the pipe is discharging at full capacity. So previous question here is only at half capacity. That's why your area is at pi d square over 8. So you have to multiply, you only have half of your area lah. So you have to divide by additional 2 times. So there's a difference where you have 8 here, and for full bore, you only have 4. Okay, so this is formula lah, or you can work it out yourself lah. Okay, with all this information, using Q equals to AV, you'll be able to find out that your velocity is equals to 0.1 over pi d square. So you know your Q is equals to 0.25, but you don't know the velocity and the area. So you have to substitute the unknown variable into your formula first lah. Then you'll try to find out to here. So you know your V is equals to 0.1 over pi d square. Then next, you'll be using this formula, which is V equals to C square root mi. So by putting your V equals to 0.1 divided by pi d square, you'll be able to equate this equation to the information given to further solve the question. So solving the question for D, you'll be able to find out that your D is 0.21. So you should provide a proper size lah. In this question, it didn't state, so it's just asking you to calculate the size of an underground pipe. So if you provide your D equals to 0.21 m, then it will be good enough for this question lah. But if the question were to ask you to provide a proper size or comment on the size, then you have to write this additional line, which is provide pipe size of 225 mm diameter. So this is how you solve for question 2. Okay, so for question 3, you're given that the Q is 0.02 meter cube per second using the diameter of 150 mm. So their question is asking you to find out the inclination for a full bore, given that your C is 55. So you're given using all this formula again. So you know that your Q is 0.02 and your D is 0.15. So always change your D to meter. Because this is full bore, your area will be pi d square over 4, and you'll get 0.0177 meter square. So given that your Q, using Q equals to AV to equate your V to get the velocity, so you'll be able to get your velocity, which is equals to 1.13 meter per second using the 2 information you are given and the information that you have calculated lah. Okay, so M will always be constant lah for which is m equals to d over 4, only in the case where your pipe is circled. So if your pipe is not circled, then you have to use the formula to find out what is your m. But if the pipe is circled, you don't have to calculate it. You can actually just memorize it and then you just write it out lah, where m is equals to d over 4. And you also know that your I is equals to 1 over L. So you put all the information available to you and then solve the equation given. You'll find that your silver pipe needs to be laid at 1 to 75. So here, by putting the information into your into this formula that you have here, so you solve this equation lah. You just need to solve this equation. You'll get that your L is equals to 1 over 88.8. So in this case, you want to have your pipe laid to be 75 lah. But if you, for this question, it's just asking you to calculate the inclination needed. So if you just end it here, it'll be good enough lah. But if it is asking you to recommend, then you just need to recommend a value that is smaller than what you have obtained. So this is how you do it lah. So the concept is the same for all the calculation question. You have all your formula available to you and you're given some information. So once you are able to fulfill you are able to find out all the information which is using these two formula, Q equals to AB and V equals to C square root MI, then you'll be able to find anything the question is asking you to find lah, provided that they are giving you the minimum information. So that's all for this tutorial. So please feel free to ask if you have any question.